I think what we forget a lot is the timing of all this stuff. So I think the expectation, because of what we've seen now, is like, oh yeah, Breece he's back, he's 100%, he's fully himself, right? And I think because of how incredible he's done his rehab, and you know, just how fast he was coming back so early. I think it's kind of skewed our expectations a little bit, but I think it's actually reasonable to expect that he's still kind of working his way back and shaking off the rust a bit, because of, yes, he's had a lot of rehab. He's been able to kind of focus on himself longer than most people have, who probably like took a little bit of time in the off season, right? All that time he's rehabbing, all that time he's getting ready. So he has been able to focus a little bit more on himself, but I think in it's mostly about that trust and that that mindset. I think he has a strong mind, but I think for some things it's like, oh, this cut that I haven't made in a year, right? Am I gonna be able to make it today? Like, I haven't even thought about doing it because I've been kind of focused on my movements being, static, and being, or not static, but like focused on a set of safe movements, right? Whereas like as he goes along, he's going to kind of let loose and let his body go. And I think that we're still not there yet. I think that he probably has more room to go in terms of him being his complete self. But at the same time, he's also growing as a player, right? And he's learning new things, and he's adding new elements to his game. So it's exciting, man. Breece Hall has looked amazing this season so far, and it's awesome to know that like he has other levels to go to, because he's so young, and he's just an athletic phenomenon. So I think we're probably going to get a better Breece in the coming weeks, and I think the key for the Jets will be to make sure that they can scheme an offense that gets the ball in his hands. And so I want to get a little bit more into that. I think his improvements as a receiver have been noticeable. It looks like he's more comfortable as a pass catcher. It looks like, he's not like, it doesn't look like he's like a fish out of water in those situations. He's like ready. He's comfortable. Like if they want to just try to get the ball in his hands out wide. And I think that's going to be a huge part of the rest of the season is, Breece impacting the game as a receiver. That previous game, last game where he had, I think it was 5 catches, 54 yards. That's a good strategy, right? Is get him and make sure he's involved, get him the rock. If it's not working, the offensive line isn't doing a great job up the middle, they're not doing a great job between the trenches, then split him out wide, find a way to get the ball in his hands. Like it's just being creative to get the ball in your playmaker's hands. I think that's the key to the Jets offense the rest of the season. And he's that special type of player that if he's comfortable in the passing game, he's comfortable as a receiver. Oh yeah, that's a whole new element to your game. That's a whole new element you added to your offense, where you can expose defenses, especially if you get him out wide against a slower linebacker. It's food. It's food for him. So we'll see how he continues to develop as a receiver, and if the Jets can successfully integrate that into their game. Obviously, their offensive coordinator has had some experience doing that with in the past with the Packers. So, of course, like we've seen Aaron Jones in that offense being a solid receiver. So, I'm very excited to see what they're able to cook up with Breece Hall the rest of the season in that role. And I think that's where he could bring himself into a different tier, because it's one thing to be, that one cut home run potential back in the backfield alone and then not really impact the rest of the game. And it's a whole other thing to also be an equally dangerous weapon when you're lined up wide or in the slot and happen to get a mismatch against a linebacker, right? That's a whole new element to your game, and that makes you that much more dangerous. You think about like guys like Christian McCaffrey, why they're so special is because they can impact the game from a variety of different places, right? It's not one-dimensional. It lets the offense be creative. It lets the offense open things up for other players, and the Jets could use that. They need the offense to be opened up for guys like Garrett Wilson, so that they can make big plays. So I'll get into that a little bit later in terms of like where the splash plays come into the formula for winning. But I want to get into the offensive line, I think, a little bit. The offensive line is one of the big keys for the rest of the season as well, so definitely something to keep your eye on.